Thank you, everybody here in Louisiana. Thank you for coming to this program tonight. This is our very, very first program that we are doing in Louisiana, and we do hope to be on back to this area as well as Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and other places, because we do know how much these kinds of programs are needed. So we are using tonight as a test. All right? And we know that you all are going to learn greatly from this program. For tonight's program, and like all of our programs, we always get our dollars to do our programs from the pharmaceutical industry. And tonight we all hope that you all will appreciate as well. It's Heaven Neuroscience for giving us the funding to do tonight's program, and we hope that you could all thank them as well. So, tonight's program, just to be real brief, and we're going to get into this real quick, we have two speakers. We have Jeff Segal from South Florida, and he came up with me, and Jeff's right there, all right, in case you don't recognize him. So, let's get started. Come on, Jeff.
How's everyone doing tonight? First off, I want to thank Stuart for having me come. Second off, I want to thank you guys for coming, because these programs do not exist without you guys. And third, what I'm about to tell you, I do not want you guys to take as this is a replacement for disease-modifying therapy. It's a complement to it. And anything that has to do with nutrition, if you're going to do it and you have MS, consult with your physician before trying it, because some of the things are not covered by the FDA. Some of the stuff that you get at the health food store, at the nutrition store, have caused plenty of athletes to be suspended because they're not regulated. How many of you go to the nutrition store, the diet store, all the different places and buy supplements? All right, there's plenty of things that are great about supplements, but the one thing I really want you to know is supplements are to supplement something. Your diet, your therapy, and the MS Society's consensus statement is to find something that works for you and stay on it. Have you guys heard that before? How many of you have heard me speak before? All right, I can say anything this time. I don't want to get too technical with you guys, because I know a lot of you don't want to hear technical stuff. You want to hear stuff that you understand. And if you look back at your whole life, a lot of the answers come within the first 10 years of your life. Right? You guys wondering what the hell is this guy talking about? Well, if you think about, how many of you have children? And if you don't, you were a child, or are. And if you don't fall into that category, then we won't talk afterwards. But how often when you were a parent of a small child did you feed your child? Every day. How often every day? A lot, right? You don't want to hear a baby cry. That's how they speak, right? They cry. So every 3 to 4 hours, you either hear the cry or you beat them to it. There's no reason to stop that. So metabolism, gaining weight, all that stuff does not have to come with age. Age does not have to correlate with all that stuff. It's your lifestyle. So what I'm going to break down this talk to is lifestyle, and how lifestyle changes over time, and why do we change our lifestyle over time. When it's worked for several years, all of a sudden we have things that we think are more important than our health, but our health has to be first, because without our health, we can't do any of the other things. So this is all about how you perceive things. Does this look good or bad to you guys? This is something while I was going up to a talk in 2012 I read, and I guess it was a magazine that I picked up going up to the Northeast. And the first thing I thought of, I don't know what you see in this, but I was like, wow, this is great. More than half of the doctors are going to take Medicaid. And then I read the article, right? And the article says, well, 2 in 5 shun Medicaid. But you're still over 50%. That's a lot of doctors that take Medicaid. Medicaid's not the issue in this. The issue is how you perceive things. And every single day, you can either perceive the positive side of something or the negative side of something. While I was already studying and into my career, I was diagnosed with MS. I've been down and out. I mean, I've been blind. I've been unable to move. I've been unable to stand on one leg. I can do this whole talk on one leg. But you guys would probably focus on my leg and not on what I have to say, so I'm not going to do that. I was also 100 pounds heavier than I am. I was an all-state football player in Florida. Florida, people are bred to play football all year round in the heat. There's spring football, there's summer football, there's two-a-days, there's all that kind of stuff. So I did it because that was the kind of person I was. So when I was diagnosed with MS, I thought, wow, you know what? I picked the right profession because now I'm going to figure out what works for me. I'm going to do the research and find out if it's not just me that it's working for, and then I'm going to pass it on. So I did study nutrition as well as the exercise aspects of it, and diet and exercise go hand in hand because what you eat is what makes you do what you can do. So if you're out of energy, I'm assuming you're starving because food is energy. There's two different types of energy. You know, there's the MS fatigue, which I know what that's like. How many of you guys have had MS fatigue? The only thing I can compare it to is when you're cooking. I figured I'd bring this up since it's somewhat nutrition. And you open up the oven and that wave of heat hits you. You're not expecting it. And all of a sudden, boom, you're at energy. And you tell someone else and they're like, we don't have any, what are you talking about? That's the toughest thing about having something like MS is that you want and you don't want people to understand what you're going through because it's not easy. And believe me, for the people that are with you, they're your support, it's just as tough for them because they don't know. So the MS diet, does anybody have an MS diet? If you do, you better profit on it because there isn't an MS diet. There's no diet that's known that's through research has proven to fix MS. That's why the first thing I told you guys was whatever I'm telling you is going to complement whatever your doctor's giving you medicine-wise or DMTs, disease-modifying treatments. And now I can say, how many people in here have progressive MS? Okay, this is a good time, right? Because now we're starting to get new medicines out there that are indicated for progressive MS, which over time there was nothing. Now we've got, you know, I think things are going to start to evolve a little bit more and quicker, but there are medicines out there that are for it, and I'm not going to steal anything that's about to be said later. But you guys, if you have progressive MS, I hope you're doing the research and you see. The MS diet is basically a good diet. If it has a name, I'm not big on it. You know why? Because if a diet has a name, that means that it also has an end point. You reach your goal, and then what happens? Once you reach your goal, what do? You go back to eating the way you used to eat? No, you got to find a new way to eat, and you got to find a new lifestyle and enjoy the foods and enjoy life. And if you don't want to eat well, then don't plan on having a lot of energy and don't plan on living life to its fullest. Because what you put inside of you is what makes you. I always throw these little fun things in between my slides because some of the things I say are not too exciting. Some are kind of funny. Some I think are funny and you guys don't. Some you think are funny and I don't. I don't know. Now, these are diets by name. Now I'm going to tell you, diets. The worst thing about a diet is following something. Okay, what are you following? You're following a diet that, what's the most common day of the week a diet starts?
Monday.
Right, Monday. So what do you do before Monday?
Eat everything.
Everything in the kitchen. You don't want to have anything left after Monday because then you might eat it and get off your diet, right? So you eat probably 3 times the amount you should eat. So what days do diets usually end? I think Wednesday to Friday, right? So the weekend leading up to the diet that you went on that had a name that you're supposed to just stay on, I guess, forever until you weigh 0, you go off the diet Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you ate probably 3 times the amount. You probably put more weight on than you'd lose during the diet course. And then comes the goal of the diet. So if you're on a diet, you have a goal. Hopefully the goal is not a pound, a specific pound. When I'm working with people, whether it's through exercise or through diet or counseling, my goal is if you want to lose weight, 1 pound. If you tell me you want to lose 60 pounds, I tell you, here's a saw, start working on your leg. Because there's no way to lose something that fast. And no matter what ailment you have, especially MS, you're tired. You don't want to be overweight. You don't want to be overweight because you're already tired, right? How many people in here have fatigue issues? All right, I see a lot of hands up. We don't want to have fatigue. We want to use our energy and pick and choose when we use our energy. Now, this is something that's like, the fad diet. I mean, this is as typical as you can get. I mean, it's logical. Unless you have some kind of a metabolic disease, this actually works. Eat less, move more. When's the best time to move? When you want to, when you can. If noon is a time that you're tired, that's not the time to exercise. That's the time to rest. So when we were children, young children, hopefully we were fed well. Good foods, wide variety of foods, colorful plates. Look at the plate, very colorful, right? That means that it's got a lot of different nutrients in it, and colorful does not come from Skittles. That doesn't count. But what you want to teach children is to eat every so often, every 3 to 4 hours, so they don't cry. That's their way of communicating. We talked about that before. And how long do we do that usually? Give me someone. I want someone to say, how long do you remember when you think back, did you eat every 3 to 4 hours? When did you stop? Well, she said when she was a baby. I hope not. Because you went to school. When you go to school, what happens? You have breakfast. Everybody, the most important meal of the day. Break fast. So you didn't eat all night. You don't need energy to sleep. So you have breakfast. First thing in the morning, you go to school. Throughout school, I remember all the way till the end of high school, you had a snack time after you got to school. Then you have lunchtime. Then you come home and you have a snack. Then you go do whatever you're going to do. Hopefully it's playing, running around the neighborhood. Then you have dinner. And then you might even have dessert. How many meals is that? 6, 7? Your minimum of 5, most is 7. So metabolism is very fast because you're not eating a lot at once and then having a long time between meals. That's what bears do when they hibernate. We don't want our body to think we're hibernating. We want our body to utilize the energy we have the best we possibly can. So here's another child that now there's even more food out there, and it's healthy. So as a child, if you learn to eat well, hopefully you pass it on and you do it throughout your life, then you pass it on to the next generation. So diet and exercise go hand in hand. What's one thing that we lose when we get out of school? Okay, no one's going to answer the question, but it's having fun and playing. How many of you played when you were a child? Right? If you didn't, I'm sorry. You didn't grow up in my neighborhood. Because my neighborhood, my mother pulled my hair out of my head, as you can see, to get me to come inside for dinner and stop playing out, running around doing whatever we did. These kids are playing. The picture that you see here is just basically, this is everybody's life, whether it's in this field or somewhere else. And, you explore, you do all these fun things. What's fun now? Seriously. Watching TV, watching other people have fun, right? Wrong. That's not the right answer. We want to be participants. Participants are who get the most out of life. Spectators watch participants get more out of life. We want to participate. How do we participate? By doing more, by remembering what we enjoy to do. That's so important. If you don't have a hobby, if you can't find something that's fun, then talk to other people, go back in time, try to remember the last time you had a really good time. What were you doing? Hopefully it wasn't breaking the law. Then comes study time in college. That's when our schedule gets all screwed up, right? Because we want to have the energy and time to go to the party. But the important thing is to keep eating throughout the day and to keep moving throughout the day. And these days, technology has beaten us up. If it's not within hand's reach, we'll order it. If it's not brought to us, we'll make someone bring it to us. All these things are taken away from our energy expenditures. And what does that do? That leaves us with extra calories. What do extra calories do? They're stored as fat. Whether it's sugar, fat, or carbohydrates, if you don't use it, it is going to stay usually about right here. Now, as we get older, what do we get involved with? Stressful situations, things that are difficult. People respond in different ways. A lot of people overeat when they're stressed out. Some people starve themselves. But diet's the one thing that people fall back on because they're used to doing something, you know, whatever it was, they want to get back to that feeling of happiness, right? Playing, the happy play out in the field time when mom's screaming for you to come in for dinner. Like, I still remember my mother screaming for me to come in for dinner and saying, gosh, one more play, whether my arm was broken or not. And then when you're out working, whether it's labor or whatever it is, you want to get a little bit more out of the day. So what do? You skip a meal. What does that do? That gets you angry. It gets you frustrated. It makes you not a good person to be around, especially when it's a group of people like that. What are you going to get accomplished? And then this is where you find yourself. This person in this picture here, I imagine her frustrated and not thinking clearly. That's just the vision that I'm seeing is somebody who's upset about something. And how do you get past that? Well, hopefully it's not laying down all day. And hopefully it's not finding yourself in the drive-thru. Because most people know what good foods are and bad foods are, but when you skip meals, you know what you crave? You crave taste. And taste comes in many different forms. There's sugars, there's salty foods, there's fattening foods with extra fats. That's what makes foods tastier. And where do you find the tastiest foods and the easiest foods to get? In the drive-thru. So what do you do when you skip breakfast, you work half a day, you're starving, you find yourself in the drive-thru, you end up eating 3 times the amount of the food that you're going to eat, faster than you would have eaten the right amount of food. And what happens? You're still hungry. And then you end up unbuttoning your pants, sitting back, and then all of a sudden you get this insulin rush, and your day becomes completely unproductive because you can't keep a straight thought. Any one of you ever been there? Anyone in here ever got so hungry that you found something, it was easy to get, and you just ordered everything, and before you knew it, you were finished eating it? Because you got to get back to work. Then you're unproductive at work until dinner time, and it's a cycle. It's a terrible cycle. And when you're stressed out, this is what you usually find yourself doing. Falling back onto comfort foods. How many people here were born in a different country than you're in right now? All right. See, where I'm from South Florida, I'd maybe have one person who wouldn't be raising their hand. What I always hear from people is, in my country, the foods are so much better. Everybody, you know, the food was great. I can't wait to go back there. That's because you're having a good time. You're in a comfortable situation. You're around family and friends, and when you remember the different foods that you ate, you know, maybe they're fresher foods, because people grow their foods in other countries, especially not as developed of a country as we're in right now. But it's really the feeling of comfort that you're looking for. It's not the taste of the food. But a comfort food is something when you're really not doing well, you can fall back on it once. But if you live on comfort foods, you're going to have a very uncomfortable future. How many of you know how to read the food label? Are you sure? To me, the most important thing at the top of the food label is servings per container. Because I can tell you how many people tell me, oh, it only had 100 calories. What, the package or the box? Because you just ate the whole box. And there's 9 pieces in there, so you just had 900 calories of cookies or whatever it is. So you want to really learn how to read the food label, because the food label is meant to be read. It's not meant to be manipulated. It's simple unless you don't make it simple. And over time, we've had so many different agencies change different ways we did that. We had the food pyramid. That was really confusing. And then they added exercise to the food pyramid, and then they got somebody running on top of the food, and it really threw people off. And combined with this, I mean, you really want to keep your fats down, keep your sugars down, keep your salts down all at once. You know, not here and there you can have a little bit extra, but all those in excess will cause some kind of harm to your body. You want to have everything in moderation. It doesn't mean you can't have a cookie here and there, but if you have a cookie all day long and that's all you eat, you're going to have problems, more so than your MS. And one of the things that that strikes me is there is no MS diet that's been proven. But when you go to your neurologist, what do you want to talk to him or her about?
Because I had any new lesions on my MRI.
Right. And what does that have to do with? Yeah, like your MS. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, you want to talk about the lesions on your MRI, and you want to talk about your function and what you're able to do and what the comparisons were the last time. Do you want to talk about your heart disease? Your diabetes? All these other things that you're, you end up confiding in your neurologist because you have MS. That's the underlying reason that you're going to a neurologist. But you end up spending the appointment talking about all these comorbidities that are preventable, that definitely aren't going to help your MS. So if you eat well and you learn about nutrition, you learn the right foods, and you end up keeping your weight stable, you may have more energy. You'll definitely have a longer period of time that you can talk to your neurologist about what you're there to actually speak about. Not all these other meds and how they're going to affect your MS, and not all these other things that, I can't see well. Well, is it optic neuritis? Is it something with MS, or is it diabetes that's causing that? You know, you're your own, you're in charge of you. And you guys all have support. How many people in here do not have MS? Okay, you guys are support. For you, MS is as difficult in a different way than the people who are living with it, because you are living with it. You got to figure out what's going on with this person today. And it's really difficult to explain. So you guys stick by their side. I mean, you guys are here, so you're the ones that are actually doing it. It's the ones that are out there that didn't come to this program, that wish they came to the program, that will have the ability to watch this program on YouTube sometime, that they can benefit, but not firsthand. Ultimately, what happened was the last, I guess, present regime that we had, the Obama administration, they put this out. It's simple. The food plate, make it colorful. You see how many different colors are on here? Make it a wide variety of foods. It's basically the same recommendations that have come back that have gone for years. Eat a wide variety of foods, make your plate colorful, surround your meals around fruits and vegetables. It used to be, don't even worry about the protein. Now it's almost like eat the lean protein to keep away from the sugars and the other stuff. But that's not how it should be. Don't fill up on the bread at the beginning before you eat. Don't save all your space in your stomach for your dessert. If there's dessert and you really want it, you're probably going to make space for it somehow or another. But make it colorful. Make it a wide variety of foods. I put this up because I love avocados, and that's a really good picture of an avocado. Avocado's got fat in it. It's good fat, but it's still fat. It's high in omega. It's healthy. But if you eat a bunch of omega all day long, you know what? Your HDL is going to look good. Your LDL will probably look good, but your belly's not. So fat is fat is fat. If you take a teaspoon of lard and a teaspoon of olive oil, which one has more calories? They're both fat. Fat's got 9 calories per gram. So this is a healthy group of vegetables. Salmon, anybody in here like salmon? I prefer non-farm raised salmon. I prefer the wild salmon because it doesn't have all the garbage and runoff, and it's actually in its normal environment in the ocean or going upstream, and it's very healthy with omegas. And when in doubt, go to your physician. Do not use Dr. Google. One of the problems that we have is, how many of you, when you were diagnosed with MS, needed more information? Okay? How many of you feel like you're really doing well with your MS right now? Like phenomenally. This is the best. You're doing awesome. Are you going to go spend the rest of your days and nights writing in a blog about how well you're feeling, or are you going to go out and live life? You live life to its fullest. But if you're down the dumps and things are wrong, you want to relate to someone else, you're going to write it because you want the answers. You want to have experiences with other people that are similar that can help you out. But to the person who's just diagnosed, if you jump on the internet and you look at all these different things, know what sources to look at. Go to a reliable source. MS Views and News has so much great information. The MS Society, the MS Foundation, the MS Association, they go on and on and on. But when you go to Dr. Google and you go to these blogs out there, it's somebody that's venting on the internet, and you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to have what they have. That's what I thought when I was diagnosed. When my doctor told me that I wasn't going to walk again, I couldn't wait till the day I walked into his office and told him off, and I did. I told him, you know what I did yesterday? I dunked a basketball while I couldn't walk. I rolled my eyes and walked out. And that was my lesson of finding a doctor that I can see eye to eye with. Someone that would sit across from me, not stand over me. So the vitamins and minerals conspiracy, talk to your doctors, because you know what happens if you go to the vitamin store or you go to the health food store and you get a bunch of vitamins and you take them and you have no idea why you're taking them, you have no idea what your levels are. You know what that does? Expensive urine or toxicity, because vitamins A, D, E, and K are fat soluble and they're stored in the body for a long time, and vitamin C and the B vitamins will go through you. So if you can't absorb them, expensive urine, dark urine too, especially the B vitamins. But if you talk to your doctors and you know what your vitamin levels are, and you know what foods have those vitamins in them, and you know that you can supplement, then you can get your levels up and have more fun. Go out and play till your mom calls you inside. But the other thing about B vitamins are, if you're deficient in B vitamins, there's a lot of different reasons. You might have a poor diet. Your diet might not be high enough in B vitamins, or you might not be able to absorb them properly. That's why it's important to have your doctor check your blood levels. And B vitamin deficiency mimics symptoms of MS. Very, very, very close. So you may not really be having a problem with your MS. You might just be deficient in a B vitamin, but you don't know till you get it checked. So you get it checked, then you go buy the vitamins that your doctors tell you, this is what you should be taking. Therefore, your urine is not as expensive as it's going to be. You don't want expensive urine. And C, we don't have a problem in this country with scurvy, especially everybody's eating ketchup. I mean, that's probably got enough vitamin C that's gonna get you. Ketchup, tomatoes, citrus, vitamin C's everywhere. And our foods are fortified too. So we're pretty good with vitamins. But I don't even know if they check vitamin C levels. They can tell. You know, they look in your mouth and they can tell if you have got scurvy. But D, on the other hand, is very commonly low with people with not just MS, but autoimmune illnesses. So the B level is very important. Why? I know what the D levels do, but I'm not going to break it down because I don't think we really have a good concept on the D vitamins, but we do know that there's a common bond that a lot of us are deficient in them. I personally take vitamin D as a supplement. I've been living in South Florida or Florida my whole life. There hasn't been a day that I'm not in the sun, but I've got my levels to where I want them. It's taken a long time. I'm in the 70s. I'm happy. And these are just some different foods. It's probably small for you to read, but look through the vitamins. Go on. You can go online if you want to go online. Some good sites are USDA, the National Institute of Health, those types of things, not blogs or Dr. Google. And find out what foods are rich in what vitamins. And the best form of a vitamin does come in your diet. And what I was saying before, food is energy. So you've got carbohydrates, got 4 calories per gram. Okay? Protein's got 4 calories per gram. Fat, on the other hand, has 9 calories per gram. So it takes up a lot more space. And then if you're somebody who's eating a really healthy diet but just has to have a few drinks every night, it's basically equivalent to having a few scoops of fat. Because 7 calories per gram and 9 calories per gram are pretty close. You don't think about that when it's alcohol, especially now you add some sugars to it, and it's not a good thing. So moderation across the board. Plan what you're going to eat. If you plan what you're going to eat before you eat it, you've solved the problem before it's a problem. If you were to take Sunday night, not too many people will do this, or if you take, say, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you plan what you're going to eat for the next 2 days, and you buy the right foods, and you pack them in your lunches, and you get everything set, you can't go wrong. You're not going to find yourself in that fast food line because you're prepared. You know what you're going to eat. You planned it. Everything's going to be smooth. How many of you guys plan what you're going to eat before you eat it, like within a day or two? Doesn't it seem pretty simple if you plan your diet for a week and then you ate those foods throughout the week and you bought the right foods? You're not ending up in the kitchen at midnight with stuff that you just bought when you were hungry? So what, when, how much, and why? Those are the questions you got to ask yourself when you're eating. And what I like doing with people is having people take a food journal. A food journal is something that is going to tell me what you've eaten. And what I have you do is write what you eat, when you ate it, what kind of mood you're in when you ate it, and maybe an explanation of why you wanted it. But you can figure out why you're eating the foods that you're eating. Make lists of foods you like, foods that are healthy, and then the unhealthy foods you kind of put aside. And whatever the foods that are healthy and you like that you can match up, those are the ones you want to stick with. And it can't be just like a chicken and broccoli every day, every meal. Because broccoli's healthy, chicken's healthy if it's not loaded with hormones, but it's not a wide variety. So this is something I just thought was funny. Everybody wants the quick way to lose weight. It's basically saying, thanks for calling the weight loss hotline. If you'd like to lose a half a pound right now, press 1 18,000 times. So you have to expend the energy that you're consuming for it to burn. I wasn't always a little guy. That was me when I was in shape, but close to 100 pounds heavier than I am right now. So I'm not just preaching to you and saying this is what you can do. I'm just some skinny guy up here talking because I have a fast metabolism and everyone in my family is skinny. It's not that way. It's hard work sometimes. I exercise throughout the day, every day with the people I work with. I'm very keen on the foods I eat, and it's important to me because it makes me feel better. And if I can pass on to the next person the way I feel and you guys can feel that way, hey, it's a better world. So this is what I asked you guys before. Every 3 to 4 hours you eat. If you weren't a child at some point, then please leave the room. And here's something that's as important as anything. Never give up. You know, there may be a time that you think you should, you want to, but just don't. Find a way. You can either find a way to succeed, or you can sit back and look for excuses to fail. And that's all it's going to be, is a fast track to failure. So thank you guys very much. Is there anyone that has any questions out there?
Let's all thank Jeff. That was a great talk, wasn't it? And Jeff, you know, he found a way to lose weight, and I found all those avocados he was talking about. So does anybody have any questions for Jeff about what to eat, when to eat it, so on and so forth? Great, we'll start over here.
How you doing, sir? I'm a diabetic. I have diabetes 2. I wanted to ask you, my girlfriend has multiple sclerosis. Does her, when she eats, does it affect her insulin levels like compared to a diabetic like me, for instance? Because I noticed she goes up and down with if she eats if she eats candy, you know, she goes up and then she goes down. Try to figure.
I should have said this at the beginning of the talk, but if everybody were to have a diet like a diabetic should be eating, we'd all be pretty healthy. So MS doesn't necessarily affect the way you're absorbing foods, but some people just, everybody's a little bit different. You may absorb things differently, but if you put garbage in you, garbage is going to stay in you. It doesn't matter who you are. And if you're diabetic and you do it, then you're really in trouble because you can go into diabetic shock, diabetic coma. But if you don't have diabetes, the goal is to not have diabetes. So eat like a diabetic should eat. If you live with a diabetic, be their support just like they're your support. Right. You're welcome. Any other questions?
Question I have would be on the food subject that we were talking about. I'm just one of those pig-headed people that I was told that it's 3 solid meals that we should eat a day, but if not the three solid, at least 6 snacks, snack time at least about 6 times a day. Would that be true?
Yeah, that's fine. If you think about your body like a bear hibernating, a bear that hibernates eats very rarely, but they eat a lot before they go into hibernation. So if you're going to have just 3 meals a day, your metabolism is not going to be as fast as if you're grazing throughout the day, as long as the food's healthy, because your body knows that it's going to get more food, metabolism's going fast, and it's actually a cause and effect with energy too in some ways. And people who have MS don't have to be fatigued. It may be a cause. MS may be the cause, but there's a lot of other causes, because how many people in here are with somebody who has MS but doesn't have MS but gets tired? Okay, because we're all human. So, but your question is, which one? Have 3 meals a day or just eat throughout the day?
Yeah, it's just been cases where that I may go 2-3 days without eating at all.
Ooh, I don't want to be around you when you do that.
At all. Now, like I say, you may catch me while I may snack on something, but actually eating a meal, I may go 2-3 days without eating. And the fatigue doesn't set in either. It doesn't bother me, which I felt was kind of weird.
I'd talk to your doctor, because your doctor's going to probably agree with me. You don't want to go 3 days without eating.
I do it quite often, to be honest with you, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the reason is, but you have to find the reason why you're going 3 days without eating before you can figure out what you're going to do to change it. But talk to your doctor about it. Let your doctor know that you go 3 days without eating very often, and then maybe your doctor can give you some suggestions.
Okay. And the crazy,
I would advise that.
And the crazy part about my weight stays the same.
Well, if you go 3 days without eating, your body's saying hold on to every nutrient you possibly have because we need it. So you're going into hibernation.
Okay then.
So,
all right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? One in the back.
Are you saying that a healthy diet and staying on a medication are the only things that are important in maintaining your health?
Every single case of MS is different. So for one, something might work when it may not work for the other. But the MS Society's consensus statement is to find a medicine that works for you and stick with it. In addition to that, I'm recommending that you guys enjoy life. Do as much as you can safely and eat a healthy diet. So with that being said, you got all bases covered. Does that answer your question?
So you're talking about movement? Are you talking about movement?
Yeah, because you have to move to burn calories. So if you're moving, we'll call it exercise. I like to call it playing around, doing that kind of stuff. But if you want to call it exercise, call it exercise. Move as much as you can safely, eat as healthy as you can, and follow your doctor's recommendations with what meds you should be taking. And that's the best solution. That's the best case. Is that the question you had?
Sort of. So are you saying that if you're not able to move well, you're not physically mobile, what kind of things can you do to create movement?
Well, it's an individual question. I mean, some people can move their right arm and not their left arm. So for the person that can move their right arm and not their left arm, use your right arm and move your left arm. There's always a little bit more than that you can do. That's, that little bit more goes a long way if you find what it is. Don't look at the things that you can't do. Try to focus on what you can do and build on that, because if you can't do it and you keep trying, you're wasting all the time of doing the stuff that you're able to do, and it's not going to be fun.
So for those that are stationary and can't move around a lot, and there are a lot of people with MS and other people that just can't move around a lot, are there any specific vegetables or food groups that they should pay attention to more than not?
Then you're looking at calories. Calories in versus calories out. So the less you move, the less need you have for more calories. So stay away from fats. Fats are higher in calories, and they'll slow you down. Eat more vegetables. Stay away from eating the whole pound of pasta.
Really?
Have
Oh my
little
gosh.
bits and pieces. But is that what you're asking?
Just for those that are stationary, which food groups should they pay more attention to, and the others then staying away from? Like,
That's
for instance,
something that you should talk to your doctor about, because everybody's a little bit different based on your blood results and what your numbers say. With that scenario, it can be a complete different need than somebody else who's got a similar scenario whose numbers come out different.
great. Thank you for that answer. Anybody else have a question? Nobody? Okay, then we got to thank Jeff for making it all the way here from South Florida. Thank you, Jeff. And again, we want to thank Teva for providing us the grant that we could do tonight's program, okay? And again, we cannot do these programs that we do in 21 states right now. 21 states we're doing programs in this year. And yes, that's me running around the country doing these things and running around rooms getting questions and answers, and then also me picking on the speakers and the questions that I have for them. So, fill it out. We want to come back to New Orleans, Nolans, whatever you want to call it. We want to come back to this area. We want to see what you have to say about tonight's program. And again, thank you for coming, and drive home safely.